Morning. So we're here with Claire Southall. Claire's based up in Birmingham. HMO landlord, currently doing a 5-bed with a studio renovation, which we saw on Monday, actually. Had a day with Claire. Hi, Claire. Welcome. I trust you're well.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Yeah, all good. Are you?
Cool. Yeah, good. Thank you. Not bad at all. Just doing a small series of videos with people like yourself that are actually out there doing it to help people that maybe are starting out or a little bit earlier on in their journey. So what's the kind of use the same format. So on the journey you've done so far and the properties you've done, what's kind of the biggest I don't know if mistake's the right word, but we'll go with it. So what's the biggest mistake you've made so far when you've been doing a refurb?
Okay, so I've made some notes myself because I think sometimes you sit there and you don't always reflect on what you've done, and I think it's really important to reflect and have an open and honest mindset about the fact that actually what could I have done that better, and just be really transparent with yourself. So I sat and thought about it yesterday about what I would have done differently. There are a few things I would do differently. When I did my first flip, I bought it at auction, and I know it's a bit around the legality bit, but I should have read the legal pack. There wasn't a big issue, but I know looking back, I need to do it in the future. So I've done that in the future. That's one of the things that I know I need to do. The other thing is specification on the refurbs. I think you assume that your tradespeople will know what you want. And I think it's, even though you build the relationship with your building team and your tradespeople, if there's a challenge like the spec's wrong or you haven't been very clear on the spec, it's a lot easier then to have those conversations, those challenging conversations, because you build that relationship. So for me, it's about building those relationships with the builders. So that's one of my, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but I just assumed they knew because they were builders or tilers or whatever. Because my first project, I managed all the trades myself. I project managed the whole refurb.
Okay.
So just a little bit of background around that. It was a 4-bed Victorian house we bought at auction, which was more or less derelict, hardly any roof. We had to do all the groundwork. It's back to brick. So I managed all the trades myself, got all the trades in, which was great. And whilst I was really, really enthusiastic about getting it all done and everything else, the builder did take me to one side and say, Claire, you have to allow for room for tradesmen to build and do stuff. So I'd have a plasterer and a wallpaper right next to him, a decorator right next to him, and then I'll have someone do some brick. I says, but I need to get it done within a time frame. So I get that, but they need room to move and work. So that was one of my mistakes, room and move to work. The specification is key, and I'll come on to that in a bit in a little while. But I would say those are the main things that I learned on my last refurb, 100%.
Cool.
What else did I learn? With regards to just from a material point of view, like a refurb point of view, the plaster. So I wasn't expecting to take it all back to brick because it looked fine, parts of it, but you pull one bit off and the rest comes down. You take a chimney out and the rest comes down. So I think it's looking from, ahead, backwards. So am I going to take that chimney out? Yes. Okay. So what does that mean? What's that going to, and we try and cover it over and think, oh, no, it'd be fine. We won't pay that. It won't cost me this much. But you have to be really, really realistic. And it's the plaster thing that costs a lot of money. So we took the plaster off. It was all damped. We had to do a load of damping. So that cost us a bit more money than we were expecting. So we had to render all the inside at the bottom. So don't underestimate plaster on walls. It might look nice, but actually it's not always until you start, hitting it with a key down, as you do. You realise actually that it's quite hollow and it's what they call blown. So you know that actually you've only got to tap it and this bit might come off, but actually eventually the whole lot's going to come off. You might as well take it back and start again. So yeah, plaster as well is another one for me.
Super cool. So what's the one thing you'd do differently if you had your time over with the current project that you're doing, the 5-bed with the studio?
Okay. I managed my first project myself. Which was great because I like to not micromanage, but be in control of what was going on, because I'm a project manager in my day job anyway, not around building, but other things. And it's a real good transferable skill to have. And I manage people a lot in my work day. So when I manage the trades there, this time I haven't had time to project manage this HMO. So I've got an actual builder in there. And I've just assumed he knows everything. I've just assumed he's designed my kitchen. I've just assumed. Totally different now is that, yes, I pay him extra money to do all that, but I still need to have a certain amount of involvement. So my next one I do, maybe HMO, I probably will use the same build team because they've been absolutely phenomenal, but I will make sure I have that engagement a bit more about specifications, where the kitchen's going, because you just expect them to know, because they've done HMOs, for example, before, but they don't, because they have different clients. So my expectation, he will say, yeah, put the white plastic plugs up. No, I want chrome. Oh, so should we put the splashbacks up? No, I want the tiles. Oh, so it's these sort of things that I would do differently. At the very beginning, I'd sit down and I'd go through every single room and go in minute detail, what materials I want, etc. So that's the one thing, because now I'm having to undo stuff.
Yeah.
So I haven't lost money. I've paid a little bit extra out because I've had to move some doors that shouldn't have been there. For example, I know, Dan, you came and looked at it on Monday. So had I have been involved in the kitchen design, I would have known that those doors couldn't go there, but they've put the French doors there and not even thought about the end of the kitchen. So I'm like, well, why wouldn't they think of that? I don't know. But, 90% of them, they're brilliant, but it's just that little, and when it's your own project, you invest. You've got an investment, it's your investment. So you want to make it work. That they will just do what they do for everybody else. But yes, so that's one thing I will do differently going forward.
Cool. We very much talk about when you do your specifications, doing room by room, walk it with the build the build team, so that everyone's really clear right at the start, and try and just set that level of expectation. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you've done some flips, done some HMOs. Is there one common theme of one kind of thing that you always do? Is there? So, for example, we always put like a metre square quad doormat inside all of our buy-to-lets, front and back door, just to help with the wear and tear and people walking in, particularly as ours are down in Wales and it's wet and windy.
Absolutely. I am doing that in mine, which is great, because you told me which materials are the best materials to use, which was fantastic. So I'm ordering that piece of maths as we speak, so that I don't, to take that wear and tear, because HMOs obviously, I intend to keep this property for many years. Things change, I might sell it, I don't know, but I intend to keep it. So flooring is a big thing for me, because I've actually used the equivalent to Cardine floor. It's LTV floor rather than laminate. Because I don't like the way laminate looks with the beading all around the edge. It gets dirty, it's not durable, it lifts, water gets in it. They say it's waterproof bathroom stuff. No, it's wood, it's just not great. So the LTV floor that I've used, I have it in my own house actually. And that's why I've spent that bit extra. I've invested that money in that, because if you pay less for floor, and I think you just end up having to do it twice. So it has to be a real durable floor. And I think when I did my flip, I put this lovely shining laminate floor in. It looks nice, but it just wasn't durable. So LTV floor all the way. That's one of the things I will do. Not necessarily in the bedrooms. I will put carpet, and under the carpet will be very, very thick underlay, because that is, it might be a bit dearer. And the carpet, you can pay a reasonable price for your carpet, and it's still look great if you've got brilliant underlay underneath, and you can just change. But your carpet's always going to get wear and tear. You can't expect not to replace your carpet. And so that's that. The carpet, the flooring generally, but the doors as well. So in my flip, I put proper oak doors. They cost me about 100 quid extra each door. But because I was selling it as a flip, I wanted to get a higher price. So it wasn't about spending loads and loads of money and having extensions and everything else. It's about certain things within the property that really resonate with people when they come and look. The doors, the handles, the shower, just the little things that it probably cost me overall, I'd say £2,000 more than what it would if I'd just done the basics. But it probably got me 10 grand more on the side of the house. It's just strategy. It's just what you just position yourself going to buy a property, I think I always put myself in their shoes and look at what I would perhaps want within that area. So yeah, so flooring, doors, yeah, your LTV flooring all the way, and thick underlay.
Yeah, they're great great tips for people doing flips. You know,
yeah,
the things that people can touch and feel are what will makes that impulse to purchase. It's the things that they remember. So yeah, absolutely, like a good solid door, a nice solid handle, the switches, like you say, being chrome or brass or whatever you decide to go with, rather than the plastic stuff. All those little bits really do make a massive difference.
Yes.
Cool. So thinking back to that very first refurb that you did,
gosh,
yeah. So we know that feeling, that very first one. It kind of got the butterflies in the stomach. You're a bit like, what am I entering into? What's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just about to start diving in and do their first refurb?
There's two things really, and I'm not going to get into all the whole mindset thing, but that plays a major part, I think, in taking that step and doing it. If you get your numbers right, you're fine. You just need to really drill down on your numbers and make sure you get absolutely everything. I overspent. We all do. I think I overspent by about £5,000 or £6,000. But I got more for the property because I was really fortunate. But my advice for the actual refurb itself would be, I'm coming back to it again, like I just said, is the spec, each room. I think what you do is you think, right, I'll get skirtings, I'll get plastering done, and you do your costing based on your trades, which is great. You have to have that initially. However, when you're speaking to your trades or your project manager who's doing it, for example, I'll give you an example of what I'm doing at the moment. My builder has assumed I'm having small skirtings in all the skirtings that are missing. I'm like, no, it's an old house. I want the big one. That's going to cost you more. So we didn't agree on just the skirtings is going to cost me more. So I've said to him, okay, because I still want to keep that relationship with him. It's not his fault. It's not my fault. We weren't clear. And that's a learning again I've taken. I can source skirtings, really big sourcings, really cheaply because I did it in my first flip. I'm the sort of person who'll go around and buy stuff, and I'm quite a good buyer. I negotiate and find the materials. So I'm going to source the skirtings, and we're going to agree for a price for him to take off my refurb. So there's things like that. Things like, oh, you only want tiling halfway up. No, I want the tiling to the full. Oh, okay. I thought it was that's going to cost you more. Okay. So there's little things that, I don't necessarily think he's as experienced as I thought he was, but they are still brilliant builders, and he's still. And for me, it's the contact communication with the builder. Yeah, let's learn together. I'm happy to do that. But yeah, my one piece of advice, because what happens is your costs just spiral. They can continue. It's different if you've got a wall that's fell down, like happened in ours, and that's cost me a few grand more or whatever it has. And that you accept that's your contingency.
Yeah.
But your actual cosmetic, a lot of your cosmetic refurb stuff you need to be itemize it. You need to be really clear. It's not even about the cost of itemising. It's just itemising what your expectations are. I want big board. I don't want small skirting boards. I want this type of door. He said, "Oh, I'll get you the white cottage door." No, I want grey. Well, that might cost you. Well, it's the same price. So I've told him where to get it from. So there's specification is absolutely key, because otherwise your costs do start to go up.
Yeah, and if you can do that specification right at the start, and if you're fortunate you've had a really good build team. If it's your first refurb, maybe you're out looking for getting a team together because you've not worked with one. If you've got that specification, you can give it to 3 builders or however many you decide you need to go and discuss and talk to. But they'll all be quoting with exactly the same thing, so your quote comes back as a comparable, so it's not too difficult to see what.
Absolutely.
So that's
absolutely.
Cool.
And another thing I'd learned, sorry, Dan, just advice just coming to my head now, is the cheapest builder is not always the one to use. I got a builder that was 20 grand, and people say it all the time, but it's so tempting because you look at your numbers. The one builder I had, he was quoting me £20,000 less. I'd seen his work because I'd gone to look at a house in Coventry that he'd done, but he'd done a different type of work. He'd done a student HMO, just basic, which is fine. my HMOs are working professional, so it's a better standard to get more the rent, obviously.
Yeah.
And the expectation is they expect a better refurb. That's what they expect. So there was no comparison really. And he quoted me £20,000 less, and I thought, okay, so let me have a look at his work again. What is he doing? And I said, I'll think about it and come back to him. He never ever phoned me again. So for me, that's the sort of relationship I'd end up having with him. And you can't have that relationship with your build team. You cannot. You have to, even if it means you phoning them every day just to confirm things, and that's what you do. And if any builder says don't do that, then don't use them, because you need to manage the expectation of your relationship and what you're expecting with regards to project updates and stuff like that. It's worth its weight in gold to work in that way.
For sure.
Not just about the money.
I totally agree. And equally, if they can pretty much start next week, it's probably not a great sign either.
Exactly.
A good builder is always a busy builder.
Yeah, exactly.
The HMO in the studio come along nicely. How long do you think you've got left till you finish that project off now?
Yeah, he's telling me the 16th of March, and that's precisely because I put a plan. I always put my plan together anyway, because that's just the way I am. I think it just comes from my working day. I do project management, so I've worked it backwards. I think it's going to go over 2 weeks, if I'm honest. He's just got something off with COVID. I know they use that as an excuse, but I genuinely do believe that this lad has got COVID, which is fine. I've met the builders a few times, just from around this morning, actually, to look at all the emergency lighting and where that's got to go, so that I can put it on a HMO licence. And they're a great bunch of guys, so they will. And it's about building them relationships. I keep harping on about it, because human nature is, if you get on well with them, they're going to do a good job for you. They're going to go out their way to get it done. So I said, some off COVID. He says, yes, don't worry, we'll get it done. It's fine. It's still on track. So we've got 16th of March. I did buy it in, when did I buy it? October, I think it was.
Okay.
But we had to leave it for a few months because it had tenants in.
Right.
So I bought it with some of the tenants in situ, and it was a compliant HMO. And apologies if the landlord's watching this. He won't. He doesn't do YouTube. The landlord had bought it off, and he's a lovely man. But it was a mess, and he will say it's a mess. But it'd been a HMO for 30 years, and he'd not really done a lot to it. So it stunk of cats, cigarettes. Oh, it was just horrendous. So, and it was a downstairs flat, and then it had 4 rooms with kitchenettes, a communal bathroom, and then a studio flat. So it had no communal area at all. It wasn't that set up. It had kitchenettes in all the room. So what I've done is we've ripped the kitchenettes out. We've made the flat, part of the flat, into the communal area. So we've made a communal area and a kitchen, and kept his bedroom as a bedroom. We put all en suites in all the 5 rooms. We've got the 5 rooms now. And then the ensuite upstairs is, the studio has the kitchen and the bathroom ensuite in there. So yeah, we're just completely gutting it. A wall fell down the other day because the lath and plaster was just not going to hold it any longer. So I had to just accept that I've got to pay a bit more money out. But and I would say we've got all the first fix electrics. We've actually done a plant room in there. So we've cut the communal bathroom in half, used half of it for an ensuite on one of the rooms and the other half for the plant room, because don't scrimp on this property didn't have any gas. It was electric meters, and the landlord used to come around every week and collect the pound coins and pay the bill and all that, just the way he liked to do it. And that's fine. We got rid of all that. We've put gas to the property, and we've obviously had to have it all rewired and everything. So we've actually done a plant room, because we've got the boiler, but we've also included the cylinder.
Yep.
Because if we've got 6 tenants trying to have a shower at the same time, that's not going to work on a normal boiler. So we've had to pay the extra. And again, it comes back to investing in it, because then you don't have problems down the line. You aren't having loads of phone calls about the water. Just spend that little bit of time and money up front. You're going to keep it, or even if you're selling it on, so that you don't have all the issues further down the line. Don't cut any corners, basically.
Happy tenants, they'll stay longer, so that obviously makes for a happier landlord as well.
Yeah, and I think when you do your numbers, it's easy to go, oh God, I need to cut that tax. And it's so tempting to do. My husband will go, because he doesn't look at this, he will go, well, can't we just do that? And can't we No. Why? Because if we do that, we're going to get phone calls every week. It's still compliant, but actually, if you pay an extra 500 quid or whatever it is to put the cylinder in, happy days. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Future proof.
So yeah, we're plastering now. They're starting to do all the plastering. They've fitted the kitchen. They've put the floor in the kitchen. That's doing. We have got to move the door. I think I showed you yesterday, Dan, because we can't get out the back door. So I think what was on about earlier, that's moving to the side. And everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, it's normal. None of us are perfect. All these people on social media say, "Oh, this is rubbish." Everybody has to reevaluate stuff and move stuff and change stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's where we're at. So hopefully mid-March. A bit of a long answer to your question, but yeah, mid-March.
Cool. Great. Awesome. So if people want to connect with you on socials or see your progress with your HMO or whatever you're going to get up to next, how do they do that?
Yeah. Okay, so I've got it. I always put my personal name, so it's Claire Southall. I'll send you the links, Dan, for you to put up on the comments on here.
Cool.
But it's Claire Southall on Facebook and it's Claire Southall on Instagram. And my property, well, mine and my husband's actually, it's BCS Property Solutions Limited. So that's the name of the company. So yeah, that's it. And we're just
Awesome.
what's next is, who knows? We're looking at a bungalow, looking at a listed building. So, and I work, so it's not all roses. I still have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do what you need to do, don't you? But I just love it. I just love the property bit. I love it. I really enjoy doing it. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome, Claire. Thank you so much for spending half an hour this morning, giving us some insight into where you've been, your journey, your learnings, and hopefully that will help others as well.
Yeah, and if they want to get in touch, I'm always one to message people back and book a call with people if they just want some advice on stuff. I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Right. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.